Oh, I didn't see you there. Hello, welcome to a new episode of Romance with Diane. I hope everybody's doing well. I was just drinking out of my $100 bill themed glass because today we're talking about millionaires, billionaires, the 1%, and rich people in romance novels. So I'm just giving everybody a minute to get in. Thank you again to everybody who is joining. Hi to everybody who's new. We put a lot of work into this, so I love to see new people come out. And oh, my niece is here. Hi, Ruby. Ruby is 3 and she loves Barbie, so we are BFFs. Like I said, this week we are talking about billionaire romance novels. And you might think that this is not a genre. It's very much a genre of book. And they've actually been around, like the billionaire as a character has actually been around a really long time. But billionaire as a kind of genre, as a like specific branded content, that actually took a while to happen. But I'm getting ahead of myself because I love talking about billionaires. For people who don't know, a billionaire romance novel is a romance novel where the hero is a billionaire. Usually it's the hero. Very rarely is it the heroine. And if it is the heroine, it is a situation where the guy also has money. Very, very rarely do we see a situation where the girl is a billionaire and the guy is like a micro dirty jobs, like blue collar dude. Sometimes he's a secret billionaire. That's very popular. The way that Chic is a secret white person. They'll be like, oh, I didn't know I had money, but whoops, now that we're boning, guess what? They love to lie to people in the 90s and like late 80s. It was very, I watched this terrible movie the other week where that was a plot point, and it's a plot point so often that you probably already have a different movie you're thinking of that it was where somebody lies about who they are to get love. It was The Boyfriend School. It's on Amazon Prime, and Shelley Long is a romance novelist. That's all I just watched it for that, but it was terrible. Hey, everybody who's just joining. So billionaire romance novels are usually the guy is a billionaire, the girl is usually like his secretary. In the really traditional, she's like his secretary, but in the more modern one, she like works at the company and is high level but not billionaire status. And usually this guy is super bored with being rich. Don't you wish you were super bored with being rich? Like if you wish you were super bored with being rich, because I could get used to that. He probably does like charity or has some kind of moral standard. He occasionally helps the poor. Like not too much. He definitely like doesn't give people change on the street, but he has like a foundation named after himself. He probably started a charity, even though there were ones that did exactly what he's doing that he could have just donated his time and money to. Anyway, usually he's tired of women who are chasing his wealth. He's tired of the socialites, He just wants a good old American girl who, apple pie and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders and all that. Although they are super women, they are not regular American girls. We all know that. We don't have time for a Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders TV show discussion, but like, if you ever want to talk about that reality show, please let me know. Jillian says Joe Millionaire. Also a great example of like that whole culture. And there's definitely, I think, a connection that we'll get to in the like late 90s, early 2000s with reality television and the millionaire obsession. There's something there, in my opinion. So this guy is super bored of being rich. He's tired of women only after him for his money. It's basically a Cinderella or Royals fantasy, but it's money instead of a title. And there's also sometimes a you have to get married to save the company or inherit the fortune kind of plot. I wrote one of those. Whoops. But mine is an adventure guy too, so he is both. He's like the world's worst Bear Grylls. Mine is awesome. But anyway, there's often like a fake marriage or a like a marriage of convenience, and he happens to look like who's available to marry, who has a vagina that I can inherit for that I can marry so I can inherit the company. Oh, you secretary, go. That is so often the case in these books. I really I don't know why, but they love that as a plot point. Um, it goes back so far. Like, there's always been super rich dudes in fiction because super rich people, there's endless possibilities with like new technology, with travel, with places you can go, and like things you can do. So the easiest way to accomplish whatever you want in fiction is to go, oh, they're loaded. Even, you know, Tarzan, though he grew up in the jungle, is secretly rich. We'll get to Tarzan because I have like so much to say. Um, and even Batman is fucking super rich, right? And we love the super rich in fiction. And again, it's sort of a Cinderella story. It's a fairy tale of like, oh, I'm just a servant girl. Oh, you're the prince from another village, and I didn't know that you were rich. You know, it's like that classic prince in disguise thing. Oh, I just happened to be a normal girl boning a god. Like, it goes back so far into archetypes. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that, like, we didn't come up with the billionaire romance novel and that ideology in the 80s. It has always been present, but now it is very monetized, which I guess is sort of weirdly fitting. Hi, everybody who's just joining. There's my notes. So I actually made notes this time. I wanted to be very like thorough in my history, and there's actually not that much that people have written about the history of billionaires. So I put a lot of this together just with my own observation. But if you have sources, tell me. I love sources. So like I said, billionaires have always been present. So they were there in the 50s and 60s in a lot of romance novels. Somebody's rich, he's like owns a dude ranch. That was a big one because like the Western kind of fiction and fantasy was colliding with like women's magazines, so we have that. In the 1970s, we see fiction moving toward the family saga structure, which if you are familiar with my other commentary, I talk a lot about family sagas because I love them. These are the big sweeping like multi-generation, multi-historical era, usually starts with somebody like immigrating to America dirt poor and ending super rich. Like you can even look at like the Godfather saga and say it follows that format, though it's a little bit non-linear, but like it's always that, like, oh, we started and now we have so much and here are all our problems, we have an enemy, you know, all that. Things like North and South, like historical epics were really big, like American historical, and then they started to branch out to other countries. I have like 4 different Asian epics, and I'm calling it that because they're totally not being specific on countries at all. Like they're doing white people. The what is that oatmeal comic, Chinese food in a small town, where it's like Chinese, Vietnamese, you know, Thai, like all in one because they can't, you know, there's only one restaurant and people go, oh, well, you don't have that type of Asian food? So anyway, the point is that like they really started to branch out with all these historical epics, and some of them are hilariously generic and bad, but honestly, I love all of them because I like that style of story. Judith Krantz with Princess Daisy, that's like a big one. Scruples is another one that kind of also really focused on like the wealth and fabulous lifestyles of the rich and famous, but it's also an epic. And Danielle Steele, something like Zoya, is also a historical epic, and they broke out of the romance genre to you know, get like popularity overall, not just with the romance. So with that going on, you see this spreading to all the other genres, and the best one, in my opinion, which I read in one night when I was in like 8th grade, or not 8th grade, I was way too old, but I still read it, but probably like 5th grade, 6th grade, it was Sweet Valley High has one. It's called Sweet Valley Saga, and it's the like family stories of the Wakefield twins, and it has this amazing step back art that I am obsessed with. Go look it up if you haven't seen it. And there's like a 1920s story that I was so into. It was Detroit. It was like total fake, like flappers, like fake Great Gatsby, F. Scott Fitzgerald shit. It's got bad poetry. It's got evil twin switches. It's got like a total F. Scott type guy in it that's her true love that she gets separated from. It's got bootlegging. It's got people running off cliffs. Like, it's everything. Obsessed with Sweet Valley Saga. So that's like the child lit example of how prolific the family saga was. And then in the late 70s and early 80s, we're seeing those same sagas, but now they're on TV. So we're getting things like Dallas and Dynasty, and we are like seeing the primetime miniseries era. We're seeing things like Shogun, right? Like that would be another one. Everything in that style is like huge, and a lot of them are on YouTube if you want to watch. Like if you just go Danielle Steele movies, that's what I type in, and then I get a new one and watch it. And it's always about gaining and losing wealth. Like there's a constant kind of carousel of like fortune and misfortune going on. And Jackie Collins is another one that does this. Lucky Chances is her Godfather ripoff that she does that I am like mostly through. Nicolette Sheridan is playing Italian, and it's amazing. So, bubbly, not sponsored. I had to pick a red drink because we have a green screen, so it wasn't my first choice, but I didn't want to clash. In the late 80s, we're starting to see the genre trying to outdo itself with more and more ridiculous, like more opulent, the fetishization of money, the greed is good culture, and we're going to less focus on like the family dynasty and more focus on like the Wolf of Wall Street, individual type people, like individualistic wealth versus like a dynastic line that started, you know, with Ellis Island and ends in like the 70s. We're talking about like people that just have a lot of money. We may not know why, we may not even know how necessarily, and it's not important where it came from so much as that they have it, and that's like the big transition point. And excuse me, I drank my soda too fast. We see the genre starting to become branded as millionaire or billionaire content in the early 1990s. And this is where the genre really becomes popular, going up into the 2008 recession. Do you think they're related? Thumbs up if you think that they're related, because I certainly do. It's really interesting, actually. I remember a ton of billionaire, millionaire romance novels in bookstores, and even at like the checkout at the grocery store in like the post 9/11 era, when I was just kind of getting into romance novels. I started thrifting I've been thrifting my whole life, but collecting romance novels, I want to say like 11th grade or 10th grade of high school. So I remember seeing all the modern books, which I didn't really collect, but all the modern were these like millionaire, billionaire stories. And you might wonder, are they still popular? Do people want this? Billionaire romance novels are still strong at Harlequin. I actually went and looked up ones that are coming out in 2020. How many do you think are coming out in 2020? Anybody got a guess on how many they think are coming out in 2020? How many millionaire, billionaire books? Do you think it's a lot? Do you think it's poorly timed? So the answer is 4. There are 4 billionaire romance novels that are coming out in May 2020 for Harlequin. And I'm just going to read you the titles for fun. The Secret Kept from the King. That's a chic billionaire romance novel, because see, they all come together. A Hidden Heir to Redeem Him. That is a Secret Baby billionaire romance novel. Contracted to her Greek Enemy. I'm not touching that. The Spaniard's Wedding Revenge. That sounds like a name for a digestive issue that you would have from like too much wine. Like, oh, what's wrong with you? I heard you get up in the middle of the night. I got the Spaniard's Wedding Revenge. Like, no. So there's 4 coming out in May. Oh, and it's box set 2 of 2, which means there are 8, which is a lot of billionaires. So that's fun. And if you search billionaire on the Harlequin site, which of course I did, there are almost 3,000 results. I think it's like 2,970 something. So this is still a popular genre. People still want this. I don't know if it's like an escapism thing. I don't know. One of the really interesting like tie-ins that I see is 50 Shades of Grey. I'm sorry, I don't want to talk about it either, but like we have to talk about it because it's a huge influence on romance, whether we, like it or not. And billionaire romance novels in today's world, like the things that are being produced outside of kind of the Harlequin very cookie cutter formula, because they are so formulaic that that's what we know. They're going to do the same thing every time, and we know they're going to just keep producing it until those sources dry up. But if we look at the like indie publishers, or even some of the Harlequin lines that are designed to be racier, because there are like some that are designed to be more sexy, all of those are 50 Shades of Grey billionaire stories. So it's like billionaire BDSM, like billionaire billionaire dom guys like keeping women in like a fancy apartment, and like, oh no, you have to have a whole bunch of sex that you kind of want, but it's all in that genre. I'm not gonna hate. It's very much the metaphorical handcuffs of like, oh, I live in a perfect lavish world, but I can't really have him as a boyfriend. Well, that's what happens when you sign up for that agreement and you consent to it. Like, guys, no, we don't have time. But the point is, there's still a lot of billionaire books. And when I Googled billionaire romance novels as part of this search, because like I said, there's not a lot of like research or stuff out there about this. The related topics were all like dark billionaire romance novel, dominant billionaire romance novel, like erotic billionaire romance novel, like S&M billionaire. So it's really, that is the thing with that now, is that we want to see millionaire doms, I guess. And as far as the future of billionaire romance novels, it's really interesting because I'm not sure like how this is going to go, right? Because millennials are all about like eating the rich and like socialism and all that good stuff, and I just don't know where like the billionaire man, like some fucking white bread, very mediocre dude with a lot of money, like where does that fit in the fantasy world? Like, are we going to want it in a weirdly nostalgic way because it wasn't present? Are we going to not want it at all because we've moved on so much? I didn't look into whether there are like LGBT billionaire romance novels. I assume that's probably pretty similar, but I didn't actually look because all of this is just like so heteronormative. But if you if you know anything or have read any or have any thoughts about that, definitely tell me, because I'm very interested. And like I said, I didn't even think to look it up because once you get enmeshed in the Harlequin world, you forget that there's anything other than dicks for vaginas, which is not true. So I don't know. We'll have to like see. Tell me, do you think that billionaire romance novels are going to be something that we have? Are they going to change? Like, what do you see kind of happening to them in the future? And we will be doing Q&A at the end. So if you have questions, please let me know. I will try my best to answer them. I don't see any yet, so if you have any, let me know. Sometimes I don't see them right away. I don't know why. I like to give recommendations for everything in the world. I like to tell you what you should watch, what you should wear. I'm not an influencer because I don't have quite the like hustle that it requires. It's the way that I'm not a politician, or the way that I'm not like a lawyer or a salesman. Like on paper, you're like, you could totally do that, except for my crippling anxiety. And I think I have crippling anxiety because the Lord knew I would be too powerful if I just didn't care. So, anyway, I wanted to show some examples of billionaire romance. And it's interesting because I actually don't have that many. I think this is mostly due to the fact that I don't collect modern romance that much. Most of my books are old. I generally tend to buy like mid 90s and older, because that's where the good art is. And after the mid 90s was when they had kind of the, oh, we don't want to read books with like half naked people on the covers and there's too much male nudity. We want to read books that have, just like one key on a long strand of satin on the cover, or like swans, or something that says sex but like isn't sex. So I don't collect those, because for me, I know it's like saying, oh, I read Playboy for the articles, but I love the art on romance novels. I love the art on pulp fiction in general. So I don't tend to collect the later ones because they are not illustrations, very rarely. Or if they are, they're not like that great compared to like the Fabio covers, like the Joanna Lindsay Fabio covers, the like Regency covers, all of that I would prefer, because I live in a studio apartment. I don't have room, so I can't. But the first one I want to show is an example of the kind of Dallas family saga, money is everything, that type. And it's called Deeds. Hopefully it's not, okay. Yeah, it's called Deeds. I picked it up at a bookshop in, I think actually New Jersey, when I was visiting my friend in Montclair. And I remember it specifically because I was wearing my showgirl shirt that says Versace, and the guy behind the counter was like, oh, Versace, Naomi Malone, and he was so excited, and we had like a moment, and my friend was like, I don't know what that is. So I specifically remember picking up Deeds because that guy and I had like a whole like showgirls exciting time. So this is called Deeds, and the little hitline is, the passion of power, the glory of greed, a dangerously unholy union. All right, does this man look like he's capable of an unholy union? Because he looks pretty average to me. Like, not even Patrick Bateman level. like not even to that level. Does he have to go return some videotapes? How are his business cards? I made Brian watch American Psycho for the very first time, like at the start of quarantine, so that was very cool. Because he's never seen it, and for me, that's a movie I've seen like a lot. All right, so here's the descriptions of the characters in Deeds, which is also one of my favorite things, because there's nothing I love more than like the idea of a character, and I get to think of what they are, and I don't have to like actually read the book. Like a lot of times when I produce my own content, I would just write like a description and then stop. Let me know if you also used to do that. Ralph Baer. His father and his grandfather were self-made real estate men who struggled with a dream. Now it's his turn. He intends to build 3 150-story towers in the middle of Manhattan. Okay, Ralph. But everyone, from the mayor to the man on the street, is dead set against it. Could that be because maybe you, like, don't know what's best because you're a fucking billionaire? Could that be why? Could that be why people don't want your real estate development? Come on, Ralph. Gail Benedict. Fiercely loyal and independent, she's a convict's daughter, girl, whose life has been a crusade against all that Ralph represents. To please her aging father, she marries Ralph in name only and keeps her contempt a closely guarded secret. So that means they fuck and she kind of feels bad, but she still does it. That's what I'm gathering from that, because that's usually the theme. Simon Kramer. He's tough, he's rich, and he's unscrupulous. Lorna Garrison, slim, dark, successful, and terribly chic. She was once Ralph's mistress until Gail came along. Now the only desire in her heart is revenge. So I know who the fuck I'm rooting for. A lot of times in these like saga type books, the main girl's really boring, and usually the main guy is really boring because they have to just be a stand-in and it's not fun. So I'm always like team sexy brunette villain if possible. Like that's always I mean, even since I was young and saw like Little Mermaid, Vanessa is way prettier than Ariel. I'm just saying, like I was totally on her team. I'm like, maybe you should steal the prince. Like I can't help it. I just, I love villains. I find them so fun. I would rather play a villain any day of the week than a hero, as I've said. So whenever I say I love villains, it's because I want to like play that role. I think it'd just be really fun. So I only have two billionaire romance novels, and one of them is called Wedlocked. I'm looking to see it again. Question mark, exclamation point. And the other one is called An Engagement of Convenience, which is a very classic like billionaire book. And like there's just so much fetishization of wealth going on. Like this is chapter 2. We don't need to know what the fuck happens. Oh, well, I'll just tell you. It's another, oops, I pretended to be someone else, but we can still fuck and we can still be in love, right? Harriet's tension increased as the purring Maserati turned off a narrow road which wound up a hill in dizzying curves. Leonardo Fortinari drove his petrified passenger through an entrance flanked by stone pillars, I can read, into the steep tiered gardens of the Villa Castiglione, and stopped at the foot of well-worn steps leading to a balustraded terrace adorned with small, time-worn statues and stone urns spilling flowers. After a glance at her taut face, he touched a hand fleetingly to her denim-clad knee. And that's literally everything you need to know about, like, these romance novels, because they're always, it's like, oh, I don't know anything about this world of wealth. I'll participate in it, but also criticize it. Like, okay, Nick Carraway. Because Rosa had apparently been very much in awe of Maria Fontanari, Leo's mother, and the Renaissance-style villa overlooking the vineyards had been too formal and grand for the youthful visitor, Rosa had always stayed at the less palatial Villa Castiglione, the house Vittoria Fontanari had inherited from her family. I love when I have a lesser villa. Like, I love when I have a villa that's maybe like the company villa, and then I have a villa that's just me flexing. I like that as an option, you know? It's important to have a villa for the poors and a villa you can flex in. If you don't have two villas, get the fuck out of this chat. And of course, she's a fucking virgin when they met. She's a virgin. They're always a virgin somehow, which, like, I'm not shaming. Why does that always happen? You felt as though you belonged in my arms. By the time I found I was making love to a virgin, it was too late. My body was programmed for the ecstasy I experienced in your arms. Can't tell if robot or fundamentalist or both. Like, okay. So this is a classic, like, Italian billionaire situation. And then Wedlocked is the other sort of big classic billionaire, which is the Texas billionaires. They love Texas probably because of Dallas, but also just because there's so much to say. He is the most generic looking white man on the planet. He looks like he should be for like the JCPenney like Saturday Sunday catalog when they're like, new ties are coming out. Get your dad a tie for Father's Day. Like, that's 100% this man right here. He is a like tie model. And I like this sentence. I thought it was kind of legit funny. Lightning flashed and rain beat against the windows as she sipped the tea, burning her tongue. She hoped Cole's pricey sedan had a leak in the roof and that his fancy suit would get soaked in the downpour. You show 'em, girl. Eat the rich. And then, of course, they spend a lot of time describing clothes, which I actually love because I love clothing descriptions. Like, I know people used to say they always skipped the first part of the Babysitter's Club where they described all their outfits, but I actually love that shit because I always want to know what Claudia's wearing. I want to know what Stacy's wearing. I want to hear about the mismatched crazy 80s outfits so I can get ideas. Like, sometimes I still mismatch my earrings, and it's 100% because of Claudia Kishi. Like, 100%. So they're describing an outfit. He has a lot of bandanas. That's what I'm gathering in this. And a Stetson. Because Texas. Do you think he's George W. Bush? It's Bush adjacent because he like was born on third thinking he hit a homer. Like, that's the vibe from these. And this sex scene gets weird like immediately. Which I love. I love when it gets weird immediately. And you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. We didn't even, you're so generic. Why? Annie lifted her head. With a secretive grin, she wiggled down his body while he struggled for restraint. Which, he groaned, when she began working on the buckle of his belt. Weird. Weird. Texas and weird. That's all I can say. It's Texas and weird. Her soft laughter brought back a slew of memories, spiking his desire. Somehow they managed to deal with the rest of each other's clothes. Okay, as a writer who's written sex, I can tell you just didn't feel like writing how everybody got undressed, which I get. It is kind of annoying. That's why you got to start people off like in towels and stuff. That way you don't have to do that. Pro tip from me to you. By then, Annie was completely undressed and even lovelier than he remembered. She'd been slim before, but now her body was strong and supple. Her curves matured in a way that stole his breath. All right, slow down, R. Kelly. Oh my God. So, that's wedlocked, question mark, exclamation point. It's part of the Fortunes of Texas series. And of course, the tagline for this is, membership in this family has its privileges and its price. But what the fortune can't buy, a Texas, what the hell? Okay, let me reread that. They phrased this so poorly. It's definitely not meant to be read, it's meant to be read, not meant to be spoken. But what a fortune can't buy, a true-bred Texas love is sure to bring. You say that 3 times fast, man. Like, writing for speech is different than writing for prose, which I definitely know from when I worked in Story League because you write so differently. Hey, I get 2 free books, again, and a free gift. What do you think the free gift is? It's not Fabio. He's not associated with these. Free mystery gift. And you send it to the best of the best. 3010 Walden Avenue in Buffalo, New York. We should find out what this is now. It's probably not best of the best. That's kind of what I think. And the other one has one too, because these are like series from Harlequin, so they're practically pulp. They're like the modern Pulp Fiction, so they have a lot of ads and stuff. Oh, you can get a free teddy bear, because you're definitely lonely if you're reading this. Like, women, we know you have nothing. Here's a bear for you. I wonder when this expires. He's completely captivating. Is he? It does not say. Oh, Harlequin Reader Surface, Buffalo, New York. Interesting. Do you think Buffalo is like a tax shelter for romance novel companies? Like, I'm honestly wondering. So the next thing I want to talk about is sort of my drawings of wealth that I did as a kid. Like what I thought rich was and just like what a flex would look like as a child. Oh no, Omar said, I always thought Texas romance was, you sure got a purty mouth. No deliverance here. Just Stetsons and weird sex. So let me show you my first piece of art. Here we go. This is an illustration that I did probably 1st or 2nd grade would be my guess on that one. I've got like a serious hat going on, a very serious hat, and some roses, some tulle, and like the biggest dress that you can possibly imagine. Because if the dress doesn't fill the whole page, then what the fuck are you doing? Get out. I was in love with, you know, those cupcake dolls. Did anybody else ever have these? Any children of the 80s or 90s where the doll would fold up into a cupcake? My sister knows because we had one called Grape Suzette, and it had a really distinct grape smell, like a weird purple, like a purple drink smell. Like not even grape, like definitely purple drink. And I still, some kind of perfume or like Bath and Body Works totally uses a similar thing because I will sometimes in the most random situation catch a whiff of Grape Suzette and I have to tell my sister immediately, like no matter where I am or what I'm doing, I'm like, it smells like Grape Suzette in here. Because it's such a brand. This next one is me in third grade, and I was so psyched because the assignment finally lined up with what I wanted to do. And I always did whatever the fuck I wanted, but at least like I didn't have to twist it as much, because they would say, draw a clown, and I'm like, a princess clown who's fabulous, or draw a pet, a horse that I ride on through the kingdom. Like, don't think I won't twist it to be what my brand is, because I will. Even when I was really young, I know what I'm about. I only want to do what I'm interested in. Fuck off. So this is my third grade illustration, and it's me as a queen. I got my sweet ass crown right there. I got my matching choker, and it matches the jewel in the crown. I have what I think is a scrunchie with pearls. That's what I think is happening there. If you see me looking off to the side, I'm looking at it on the monitor. And of course the like ermine fur and a big fuzzy. And then I had to put my glasses, because unfortunately I had glasses, which is kind of killing the brand. I could have just not done it, but I'm a realist, even in my art, just a little. So I couldn't help it. Omar says your wedding dress is going to be off the hook. That is true. That's very true. I spent a lot of time thinking about it, like even when I was single, just because I have so many ideas. Brian's off camera like, This next series of illustrations are part of an ongoing project that I had with my friend Lisa. And if you've ever seen a Mortified show that I've done, you may have seen me talk about this. It is my version of the Delia's catalog. Any 90s girl knows that Delia's was like the ultimate flex, the like cool status symbol clothing that you wanted to have. It was very much an aspirational thing, and very few people actually owned it. It was just like you got the catalog and you circled everything in it, and you maybe got one thing. But I was obsessed with all of the like late 90s, early 2000s fashions in Delia's, and so I made my own version of this catalog with my friend Lisa, and it was called Sophie's, and it says El Europa in Spanish at the top because we used it for a Spanish assignment, because they were like, once again, I will make it work. If you're gonna make me do school, I will go in and do my brand. So that was a classic like baller girl kind of look. She's got not one but two chokers, and of course that fur coat. And I loved fur coats like this. I actually have one that I've been meaning to wear. It's like the late 90s Spice Girls coat with like the marabou feathers. And I've always wanted to wear it for this show, but it is so damn hot in here that like I couldn't do it. I couldn't keep it on. So we'll have to wait until like we either have a really cold day or we're able to do air conditioning, because I will be sweating out of it. It's velvet, so it's not an option right now. Like I'm sweating in this. So that is my girl. And Sophie is the cover model. She's very fly. And here are some more Sophies. I have, this is like 8th grade Sophies, so it's really reflective of what I considered to be like the cool style at the time, like a fast fashion kind of like Forever 21 before I knew what that was. We can see that she has a necklace that says bling bling. And I am so sorry, I am so fucking white. I have a shirt that says Ghetto Fabulous. I want to apologize to everybody. I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. I watched a lot of BET as a child, so I thought that would be okay. It is not. Oh, Jillian says she had one, denim with black and white fur collar and cuffs. I can see it. That's pretty fly. Like I would wear it now. I have a lot of like fake fur coats. Brian knows. She also has a cross necklace, a shirt that says I love glamour, and it has the fuzz on the top and sleeves, and a lip necklace, and just fabulous. And the shirt that says movie star, because I used to do all of the like graphic shirts. Like I used to wish that they said things that I liked. And now you can go on like Threadless or any company or like TeePublic and get like those Abercrombie board shop shirts with like fandom references. I would have died for that shit. They did not exist when I was young. So kids today don't know how easy they have it. I'm pointing all the time and you can't see me pointing because it's reversed, but G-Day, just the shocked face. I know, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And oh, Jillian said the cross necklace, Cruel Intentions. Yeah, it is very Cruel Intentions. Brian has not seen Cruel Intentions. That's also on our list of movies that he has to watch that are like early 2000s classic teen things that he needs to be a part of. The last one I have is, again, it says fabulous. There is some awesome boots going on down there with like 8 buckles and the platforms. Remember, those would be so uncomfortable. You would get the sweaty feet because they're so heavy. And I remember too, when you wear them out, the bottom falls out of the platform and you're trying to walk and you like keep slipping under. This is a very specific like 2000s, late 90s memory, but I definitely have that. And the thing says glam. Oh, and she has some arm warmers. That's what on the top there, that's what those are. So that is my illustrations of like what I thought would be like the ultimate in rich and the ultimate in like fabulosity. Oh God. Tell me if you had Delia's or if you had like an aspirational kind of look that you were going for. I actually have a lot more of illustrations that are showing like 6th and 7th grade fashion, like showing brand names, like me doing things like drawing Abercrombie and Fitch clothes and drawing like the Tommy Hilfiger logo like on people's shirts and stuff. Drawing all of those branded names that people told me were cool, and I never had any of that stuff really, partially because I couldn't afford it and then partially because it became my brand to not like it, so you know. So it always comes back down to that. I'm like, I gotta be different. Brian's about to laugh at me because I'm gonna make an astrology reference, but I'm an Aquarius, and that meme of like Aquarius and then hugging, being different for no reason, like it's like the ultimate. I will take any fucking excuse I can to be like, I would never do that because I'm an individual. Like, fucking calm down, bitch. You go to Target like everybody else. So. Omar says, stepsister sex, check, Cruel Intentions. I hate that so much of what I make Brian watch involves incest. I feel like it's creating a weird, like, I don't know why. Because I make him watch Flowers in the Attic and, like, all the V.C. Andrews, and I don't know. We don't have time. Or what's that John Mulaney? We don't have time to unpack that. Like, shut up. Tommy Girl was Jillian's signature scent. I didn't have a signature scent till I think like 10th or 11th grade, and it was the, it has that ad with Carmen Electra, I think, and Dennis Rodman. Candies, it was the Candies perfume. It was the orange Candies perfume and with the yellow bottle, and that was my like sprayed on before a dance and hope boys talk to me vibe. No boys talk to me, but I did keep that perfume up until I think like sophomore year of college. And then I got Danielle Steele's perfume because she actually had a perfume. I think it was called like Romance Novel or Novel Romance or something. And I, like all great things, it started as a joke. Like I bought a sample thinking like, haha, that'd be funny. And then I really liked it. So I wore it up until I moved to DC, like up until I think like 2012 or 13, because I remember rebuying it and then it had changed, you know. It went from being like kind of like higher end to like low level department store, so it wasn't the same anymore, but I do have a little bit in the bottle that I saved because I'm very much a collector of things, and I always like to remember, you know, what I wore, what I did, what I ate, what I, you know, like the scents I wore and all of that. So I have saved it. I also saved, it's in the same box with my first pair of high heels that I wore like consistently. And the worst part was I went to school in Michigan and they were open toe. They were like peep toe kitten heels with fake quilting on them. It was 2007, girl, I don't know. But I wore them down to the nub, you know, when the heel cap falls off, and I saved them. And my big idea that I had when I was saving them, which shows you who I am as a person, I was going to put them in a lucite box and display them at my office when I was press secretary of the White House. That was my plan for the shoes. And there was going to be like an article about me and like the shoes and how that like symbolizes, you know, where I came from. And I was like trying to make it easy for reporters and other people who wanted to get to know me to like have a prop they could talk about. So that was what I did. I never got the lucite box, but I do still have the shoes, and I am saving them, and hopefully someday they'll be in some type of office. Probably not the White House, though, but they'll be somewhere, I think, I hope. Any questions before we head out? Thank you so much to everybody who's joined. Again, it means a lot to me. I am desperate for attention. I need validation to live or I will die. I don't have therapy right now, so you are helping me deal with all of my issues by giving me something creative to do, and I appreciate that. So yeah, if you have any questions, now is the time to get them in. Otherwise, I'll babble for another minute and we'll call it a day. I'll play with my hair some more. I know I've been doing that a lot. I'm doing the curly girl method for people who know what that is. And I'm not that curly, so it's definitely a struggle. And we're getting there, but oh my God. It's so much work. And then I get hot or humid or something and it just burp. So I'm like a 2B, 2C for anybody who knows what that means. All right, well, I think that we're gonna wrap it up. Let me just do one last refresh. See if anything came in. Nope. All right, thank you again for tuning in this week for Romance with Diane. This will be up on YouTube next week sometime, so if you want to share it or like it or subscribe to my YouTube, I would really appreciate it. I'm desperate, so love me. Or it's the Jenna Maroney, I'll do it, but only for the attention. All right, thank you so much. I hope you have a good night. Please hang in there. Bye.